But without doubt, the most rewarding aspect of being a mediator is when you can bring parties that have been fighting for 2, 3 years, maybe longer, and you get a deal and you say to them, well, that's it. This problem that you've been living with for all these years has now gone away. You can wake up tomorrow morning and do whatever you want to do without worrying about the possibility of losing, without worrying about your evidence, without worrying about going to court, without worrying about having to meet a huge cost bill, without worrying about having to pay the other side's costs. All those things which have often dominated people's minds, understandably, for months, if not years, all those problems have gone away, and people can start the next day with a clean slate.
I'm Stuart Lawrence, founder of Mediator Locator, and welcome to our short video series, Meet the Mediators. In this series, we're getting to know the people behind the role. Mediator Locator is a national mediation service connecting clients, law firms and organisations with the right mediator. Mediation's all we do. We're not a directory. We actually take the trouble to pair disputes with the correct mediator. And this series is a great way to get to see the human side of mediation and why choosing the right mediator can make all the difference. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Jeff Lewis from Brabner's. Maybe, Jeff, we can start by you giving us a little bit about your background and what brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm a commercial litigator. That's my day job. I've been a solicitor for 36 years now, always doing commercial litigation, commercial disputes, so professional negligence claims, contract disputes, shareholder disputes, some property disputes. As I often say to people, particularly to non-lawyers, anything that companies can find to fall out about is the stuff I deal in. I also sit as a deputy district judge. I've been doing that for 24 years, and I've been mediating for 25 years.
Well, so long and distinguished career.
Well, long. I don't know about distinguished, but yeah, long.
Okay. And how did you get into mediation?
Well, as you say, it's a long time since I first became accredited as a mediator. It was, I think, 2000. So yeah, around about the turn of the century, where mediation was less mainstream than it is now. And I got into it because I saw that it was an up and coming concept, as it then was, and something that was being promoted by the civil procedure rules that were introduced in 1998. Actually came in 1999, and clearly mediation was one of the things that Lord Woolf was pushing. But I also could see the benefit of mediation, and I suppose it comes from, by then I'd spent over 10 years as a litigator, and I'd become tired of that situation where you get to court for a trial and you're then running around in the corridors of the courtroom trying to do a deal. And it seemed to me that it was a nonsense to be having that conversation in rushed circumstances on the morning of a trial in a crowded courtroom with the judge saying, when you're coming in, I'm waiting for you. So mediation had the benefit of bringing that process forward and it being able to be conducted in a much more leisurely, relaxed format, and of course in a way that saved the parties a lot of costs before they'd got to the steps of the court.
So kind of front-ending the process rather than back-ending it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And are there any particular types of mediation you find most rewarding, or what's the most rewarding aspect of the mediation for you?
Yeah, I don't think there is a particular type of mediation that I enjoy more than others. I know that sounds a bit defensive and like I'm hedging my bets, but I actually enjoy all forms of mediation, all sorts of cases. But without doubt, the most rewarding aspect of being a mediator is when you can bring parties that have been fighting for 2, 3 years, maybe longer, and you get a deal and you say to them, well, that's it. This problem that you've been living with for all these years has now gone away. You can wake up tomorrow morning and do whatever you want to do without worrying about the possibility of losing, without worrying about your evidence, without worrying about going to court, without worrying about having to meet a huge cost bill, without worrying about having to pay the other side's costs. All those things which have often dominated people's minds, understandably, for months, if not years, all those problems have gone away, and people can start the next day with a clean slate.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think, it's often referred to as the peace dividend, and I genuinely feel that's underplayed. So I totally agree with you there. Are there any particular types of dispute that you enjoy mediating more than others? I mean, you said you like all aspects of it, but is there anything that sort of particularly stands out as an area of particular value and interest to you?
I don't think there is. I never know how much I'm going to enjoy a mediation until I'm there on the day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not enjoying the mediation as a mediator until something perhaps happens, mid-afternoon, and all of a sudden you get a breakthrough. I would say that probably 80% of mediations reach a point where you think, there's an impasse here. I just don't think we're going to be able to get through this. And when you do, and invariably you do, you suddenly get this great wave of euphoria, and that's just as the mediator. You say, okay, well, I think this could settle now. An hour ago, I thought we were about to put our coats on and disappear, and then you move towards mediation, move towards settlement, and you suddenly find that this problem, which you thought you weren't going to be able to resolve, is on the point of being resolved. So I think my especially enjoyable mediations can't be defined by reference to the genre of case that they are, but more by reference to how they can suddenly result in settlement when it looks as though the odds were stacked against us.
And do you think people need to get to that point where they're about to give up sometimes to really sort of think, right, we need to cut through the issues here and get somewhere? Otherwise, the alternative of staying in perhaps a litigation process is so unpleasant and so expensive and time consuming that it focuses minds.
Yeah, so without doubt, sometimes that does need to happen. And I have been in mediations where I have genuinely thought that this mediation is about to end, and people have been literally putting on their coats and walking out and packing up their things. And then all of a sudden, something's happened. One party says, hang on a minute, should we just go back with one more offer? Or the other side suddenly knock on the door and say, can we have a chat with the mediator? And it's amazing how often that does happen. I do try to encourage the parties at the start of the day not to do that, but to be as open and frank with me as they can. But that doesn't always happen. So it does sometimes happen that when you think that the mediation is about to end, something breaks through. And I've actually had that in remote mediations as well, which is a surprise, because I've always thought that one of the drawbacks of virtual mediations is it's very easy for someone just to click the button on Teams or Zoom that says leave meeting, and that's it. It's all over. There's no putting on your coats and packing up your things. But actually, I have had it a couple of times where I've been saying to the parties goodbye and about to press the button to end their breakout room, and then they've said, just hang on a minute. Could we just have a chat? And then all of a sudden you're back on track.
Okay, no, that's great when that happens. I can totally understand the euphoria of cutting through the difficulties. And in your experience, what do you think is the biggest benefit of mediation?
I think the biggest benefit of mediation is the saving of costs. I know that sounds like a fairly hackneyed thing to say, but the reality is that you go to court and you're in the hands of the judge. You lose control of the process. And it depends on how the witnesses do on the day, what view the judge takes of the law, what view the judge takes of the documents. You are in the hands of the court. Whereas at a mediation, I know it sounds like a cliche, but the parties retain control. They retain control of the process. They retain control of the offers. They have time to reflect. And if they don't want to settle on the best terms available, they don't have to. So in terms of controlling the process and having some control over the outcome, mediation has the benefit, and it also saves the cost of getting to a trial. And as we know, the cost of going to trial can be very, very significant.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, if you're happy to, are you able to give a quick comment about your experience of working with Mediator Locator?
Well, it's been great. I mean, all my dealings with Mediator Locator have been fabulous. They're responsive. They're easy to deal with. The administration is terrific. I think Mediator Locator provides a great service to the mediator and to the parties themselves.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you very much, Jeff. And that brings us to the end of our session. So thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Meet the Mediators. And if you'd like to learn more about mediation or help, or if you want us to find the right mediator for you, which could well be Jeff in this situation, please do get in touch with us at mediatorlocator.com. Thank you very much. And until next time, goodbye for now.